Yo, it's your boy Fazer, man. Back with another reaction. Like, comment, subscribe right now. I ain't gonna lie, I'm trying different shit. I ain't gonna lie. It's not really too different, but Crips killed her brother, so she became their worst nightmare. I ain't gonna lie, this shit just kept catching my eye. Deadliest female pyro. Don't cook my reading. Let's get started though. This shit seem like, you feel me? About to be some shit. Shit.
Most people run from danger.
Y'all already know how it began going in LA.
Growing up in the heart of Compton's gang wars,
she
was
different
raised
out
to
there.
fight, to survive, and when necessary, to kill. But when the Crips gunned down her brother, something in her snapped. She didn't just seek revenge, she embodied it. Ruthless, fearless, and always ready for war, she earned the name Rambo. But how did she go from a grieving sister to the Crips' worst nightmare?
Shit.
This
Anybody
is a story
with
of
a Rambo?
the
You already know they
female
shoot
shit. In the late 1950s, Sylvia's family packed up and moved to the east side of Compton, looking for a fresh start in a single-family home. The neighborhood, however, was under the grip of the Lled Park Pyru, a blood gang. Sylvia came into the world in 1962, born into a well-off black family. She grew up with two brothers, including her older brother, Marcus, better known as China Dog, who would go on to become one of the founding members of the Lled Park Pyru gang. Their father, Willie Nunn, wasn't just any man. He was a professional boxer, tough and disciplined. He made sure Sylvia knew how to defend herself, teaching her both how to fight and how to handle a gun. Those lessons would prove invaluable when she found herself in dangerous situations, especially as gang tensions escalated around her. Despite the tough environment, her parents worked hard to provide for their family, making sure their children had everything they needed.
Girls like that wait for somebody to try them in school. I know.
Never went
like,
without.
You don't even know.
Every year,
fuck around, get your head taken off.
I ain't gonna lie. Of the family's financial stability. But in 1973, everything changed. Willie Nunn was arrested for drug possession and sent to prison. And just like that, the backbone of the household was gone. Without him, the Nunn children were left to navigate a world that was getting darker by the day. Compton wasn't the same place it used to be. Gangs were growing fast, and both Crip and Pyru sets were carving out their territory. Sylvia grew up in the middle of it all.
Yeah, I see what's going on with that Rico and Diamond, whatever.
One
Brick Baby, the 60s and all.
Her that fighting
I'm not even going to say too much, but
it was normal. Picking up a gun wasn't a last resort. It was just part of life. And being in a gang, that wasn't a choice. It was survival. Her mother didn't raise her to be a lady. There were no dolls, no dress up, no makeup lessons. Instead, she learned how to fight before she even knew how to fix her hair. Everything she knew came from the men around her.
Real black
men
baby.
in gangs. Men who lived by a code of violence and respect. And when that's all you know, what else are you supposed to become? Sylvia didn't choose this life, she was born into it. When Sylvia was just 16, a sudden burst of gunfire shattered the afternoon calm outside her house. She didn't hesitate, she ran straight toward the sound. Just a short distance away, in a nearby park, a crowd had already gathered. Lying on the ground bleeding was her older brother, China Dog, and he had just been shot down by a car full of Compton Crips. The Crips outnumbered the Pyrus 3-1, and this time they had the upper hand. Sylvia shoved her way through the crowd, her pulse hammering in her ears. Seeing her brother like this, hurt, helpless, sent a surge of rage through her. The heartbreak was there, sure, but the anger burned hotter. This wasn't just his fight anymore.
Yeah, I feel like
too. And in that
you can't really tell nobody how to feel.
She wasn't backing down.
After losing someone, especially something like a brother.
She had to find the Crips who did this, an eye for an eye, That was the only justice that made sense in her world.
That should probably one of
Sylvia
the
Nunn
first feelings.
believed that the main thing was to
Film
kill.
you wouldn't want to
take
wish on
control of
nobody
life
for real.
and death with her own hands.
Damn ass, man. That's how true it is, though.
But despite how bad it looked, China Dog survived. He was rushed to a nearby hospital.
Oh, he survived. I'm talking about God rest. I'm bugging.
And Sylvia, at just 16 years old, she had made her choice. She was now a member of the Looters Park Pyroos. Now, if you're talking about the most notorious Pyro sets in Compton, the Looters Park Pyro, also known as the Looters Park Bompton Pyro, has to be in the conversation. But before they were Pyroos, they were actually called the Looters Park Hustlers back in the 1970s. Over time, they transitioned into becoming a full-fledged Pyro gang, staking their claim on the east side.
Y'all think niggas behind these pages, like they be like police?
Their old
they be niggas that be from these hoods, you feel me? Like,
playing
what
ball,
be the deal? Like, I really want to know.
Let's be real, planning their next moves. This wasn't just a hangout spot, it was their headquarters, the place where everything started. And from there, their reputation only grew. Now their turf stretches from Bullis Road to Atlantic Avenue between Compton Boulevard and Rosecrans Avenue. They're boxed in by some other well-known sets. Mob Pyro to the north, Hollywood Pyro to the south, Elm Street Pyro to the west, and Lime Hood Pyro to the east. And while they had their fair share of allies, they also had a long list of enemies, especially among the Crips and some Sureño gangs. If you know anything about the 90s West Coast rap scene, then you know about Suge Knight. The Death Row Records boss had strong ties to the Mob Pyro, and the Looters Park Pyro were right in that mix. In fact, they were hired as security for Death Row during the height of the gangster rap era. Back then, the lines between the streets and the music industry were blurred. Gang politics bled right into the rap game. And when Tupac Shakur was shot in Las Vegas on September 7th, 1996, everything exploded. The streets of Compton turned into a war zone. The Mob Pyro and Southside Compton Crips were already beefing, but after Tupac's murder, things got even worse. Looters Park Pyro sided with Mob Pyro in the conflict.
That's one of those ones.
Violence only
niggas bump that nigga music to this day.
Despite riding with Mob Pyro during the war, Looters Park and Mob Pyro eventually became enemies themselves. A lot of it stemmed from internal conflicts, betrayals, and murders tied to the Death Row era. They tried calling a truce, but in the end, it just didn't stick. When it comes to alliances, Looters Park Pyro has linked up with sets like Elm Street Pyro, Lime Hood Pyro, Hollywood Pyro, and Cross Atlantic Pyro. With the Kelly Park Compton Crips, Santana Block Compton Crips, Dusty Hood Compton Crips, Neighborhood Compton Crips, and even some blood sets like Fruittown Pyro. And then there's their long-standing beef with the Sureños, including gangs like Compton Barrio 70s, Compton Barrio Chicano Gang, and Compton Barrio Largo 36. Sylvia was the youngest in the Looters Park crew, and the only girl carrying a gun. More than anything, she wanted to prove she was just as tough as her older brother, Marcus. She wasn't about to be treated like some tagalong. She wanted respect.
I ain't gonna lie, you could tell she was official though, just from how she
asked her to help rob a gas station. She didn't hesitate. They walked there together, and along the way, they were hyping her, even carrying her on their shoulders like she was some kind of champion. When they got there, they smashed the window with the handles of their guns and then shoved Sylvia through the broken glass.
You don't want to see this.
Viewer discretion advised.
You're gonna need some backup.
Feel good, feel right, feel free.
That's how she just got back door.
Inside, with a gun pointed straight at her face, she locked eyes with the cashier. They made it clear this was a robbery and there was no room for mistakes. Sylvia grabbed every last dollar from the register and handed it over to the Bloods, but she wasn't about to walk away empty-handed. She made sure she got her cut. Marcus's boys looked at her funny, almost like they thought it was a joke. They told her they'd buy her a popsicle or something. But Sylvia wasn't laughing. She let them know real quick. This wasn't a game to her. If she was doing the job, she was getting paid. So they tossed her some loose change. It wasn't much, but Sylvia didn't care.
Shit for the fun.
She wasn't just some girl tagging along. She was one of them. She was going to make sure they,
like, you gotta get yourself checked out.
Unlike most of the girls in the pack, Sylvia didn't just follow orders or wait for someone to tell her what to do. That wasn't her style. She wanted to stand on her own, just like Marcus. And with both of them deep in the bloods, their house became more than just a home. It turned into the gang's headquarters, and that put a target on it. The Crips knew what was up, and they weren't about to let it slide. They started lighting up the Nunn house with gunfire, aiming to take out China Dog. But it wasn't just the Crips after him. The police wanted him too. They'd come knocking, looking to drag him in, and every time they did, they clashed with his mother. The cops didn't just come for him. They made sure to threaten her too. Sylvia,
I don't know if I'm bugging, but it didn't really show how she became their worst nightmare.
Fire in her. She stepped up furious, telling them to back off, to leave her mother alone. One of the cops just looked at her, almost amused, then threw a line
like this
at
probably
her.
be the worst of the streets, like the harassment with people that got nothing to do with none.
Rambo was born. China Dog eventually got locked up, spending years in the youth authority. But out in the streets, Sylvia was only sinking deeper into that life. Then came the 1980s, and with it, the crack cocaine epidemic. It tore through South Central Los Angeles, Compton, Watts, Inglewood, everywhere. Gang members weren't just selling it, they were using it too. Sylvia was no different. She already had a name for being violent, always strapped. But now, high on crack, she was out on drive-by shootings, feeling nothing. No guilt, no pain, no remorse. Then in April 1991, the cops rolled up with a warrant for Sylvia's arrest. They gave her two choices. Either she could go to jail, or she could start talking about the Looters Park Pyru's drug operations. She decided to cooperate, but just a few months later, on July 23rd, in the middle of
that wasn't expected.
Sylvia got a call from her mom, the kind of call that shifts your whole world. Her older brother, Junior Nunn, had been shot in the back of the head while walking his girlfriend home. Just like that, he was gone.
This is what they go to show you. A lot of people that snitch.
Junior wasn't about
not all of them,
life.
like, for me, some of them that was like hitters.
She knew wouldn't hurt a
but
fly.
They still snitch, so he'd be like, you already know he's 1-2 people. But
why now? What she didn't see was that this wasn't random. She was right in the middle. Wouldn't hurt a fly. Just like that, he was gone. Sylvia just couldn't make sense of it. Junior,
you know, she probably one of the people that corroborated, but she came back and them niggas was probably still respecting.
Wouldn't hurt a fly, literally. So why him? Why now? What she didn't see was that this wasn't random. She was right in the middle of it. Her family wasn't just involved in the game, they were royalty. And when you're at the top, Junior wasn't about that life. He was one of the calmest kind. Just like that, he was gone. Sylvia just couldn't make. Her older brother, Junior, in the middle of the afternoon, Sylvia got a call from her mom, the kind of call that shifts your whole world. Her older brother, Junior Nunn, had been shot in the back of the head while walking his girlfriend home. Just like that, he was gone. Sylvia just couldn't make sense of it. Junior wasn't about that life. He was one of the calmest, kindest people she knew. Wouldn't hurt a fly.
I ain't gonna lie, that'd be the worst shit in the streets. Like I just said, anybody getting hit that
she didn't see
ain't got nothing to do with none. Like,
random.
You can never respect none for that.
Her family wasn't just involved in the game, they were royalty. And when you're at the top, everyone's watching. So, what does Sylvia do? She goes home, throws on some men's clothes, and grabs one of her dad's guns. Then, she steps right into Crip territory. She starts chatting, playing it cool, listening, and whenever somebody's name comes up, she makes a note, then heads straight to their house and puts a bullet in their head, one by one, all in the name of Junior. That first kill after her brother's murder, that was it. That was the moment she stopped being just a girl. That was the moment she became a gangster. But revenge wasn't just about her. It was about her mother too. Sylvia made sure those other mothers felt the same pain her own mother felt when she got that call.
I ain't gonna lie. And shit like that happen. It's not
On
really
the
but
streets,
much.
word got
That's so
around
much
quickly.
you can say, bro.
They started calling her by her nickname, Rambo.
That's the definition.
She
Y'all
wasn't
go
out there
feel
trying
me.
to look
Y'all go
No
feel this
makeup, no
pain.
nails, no jewelry, just black from head to toe. Shoes, socks, shirt, pants, coat, and a beanie. Even her red flag, that deep wine-colored one, stayed tucked under the beanie. Her job? She was out there to kill. And when it was over, when the streets had been served, she'd slip back into her car, peel off the beanie and coat, let her hair fall, and just like that, she was someone else. Just a woman driving home. That was her disguise. But in 1993, everything changed. In 1993, Sylvia Nunn left behind everything she knew and took off to Las Vegas, Nevada. Then, 2 years later, she married John Hardman, a former sheriff from Kansas City, Missouri, and changed her name to Sylvia Hardman, trying to start fresh. It was a complete shift. She walked away from gang life and
That's
focused
mad
on building
crazy.
a
She
future.
in the mirror and
She
serious.
became deeply involved with the Second
She was
Missionary
a real life
Baptist
gangster.
Church in Pahrump, Nevada, trading her old ways for faith. As she put it, I put down Pyru and picked up Jesus. But before that transformation, Sylvia had built a reputation, one that made her the central figure in a 2008 episode of Gangland called From Girl to Gangster. The episode focused on female gang members, the Criplets and Bloodlets, but the real spotlight was on Sylvia, better known on the streets as Rambo, and her ties to the Looters Park Pyrus. Sylvia described women in gangs as some of the most dangerous players. Why? Because cops were less likely to search them. That gave them an advantage. They could carry weapons, substances, even commit crimes for their male counterparts, all while flying under the radar. These girls weren't just bystanders. They learned early how to
This video is
survive.
one of those ones.
They
I
knew how
ain't
to
gonna
fight,
lie.
how to use a knife, how to shoot a gun, and how to steal. Many
Really
got
was
caught up
official.
in substances, and some were even exploited by the men in their own gangs. But sometimes they flipped the script, using their relationships with rival
They
gang
said she
members to
corroborated,
gather
but I don't
intel.
know about nothing.
And
You don't know
Sylvia,
about nothing. Be like,
she
this
was
mind our
fear.
business. You feel me?
She had
can't
no
be-
hesitation, no fear.
That's mind
That's
our
what made
business.
her one of the most dangerous women in her gang. But in the end, her story took a different turn. On April 20th, 2010, Sylvia Hardman passed away. She was laid to rest in
God,
Woodlawn
man.
Cemetery in Las Vegas. Her legacy, however, didn't end there.
Oh.
In Compton, her sister, Cynthia Nunn, started a non-profit in her honor, Sylvia Nunn Angels. The organization
That's
is
big,
dedicated to giving
That's
back
dope,
to the
word
community,
too.
helping kids and families find a better path, one that doesn't lead to the streets.
I ain't gonna lie, this is one of those videos though. I ain't gonna lie, y'all see me fear the edit. Like, comment, subscribe. Till next time.